Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Min. I'm your co-host with Josh, and we're from NDIS Property Australia, and you're listening to the SDA Housing Podcast, a show that explains, highlights, guides, and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Josh, how are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Not a lot. Busy week this week. But yeah, been a good week.
Well, today's topic is about our webinars. Josh, we had about 3 webinars the last 2.5 months. How'd they go?
I think they've been really successful. I think there's been a lot of interest in them. We've had a lot of inquiries. I think they were really, really good bits of information. A lot of people were requesting slides and recordings. So I think they've been really, really useful for investors to learn about these different locations.
What were the 3 webinars we held the last 2.5 months?
So we had, the last one was Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania. And the one before that was Perth. And the one before that was very much just focusing on Victoria.
The webinars has definitely had a big impact for our listeners, our clients and our listeners, haven't they, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are coming into the investment now with a lot more information. I think they can come to these webinars and ask whatever questions they have. I think they've been really, really useful. A lot of people are still requesting the videos and slides, even new clients, because it just gives you so much more information about specific locations and builders and that sort of thing, even providers and how they work.
Yeah. The webinars give a live interactive platform for people to engage and talk to the builders and providers and also ourselves. We normally get about 200 to 220 registrations for each webinar, I think, Josh?
Yeah.
And we have about normally 100, 110 turn up to all the webinars on average. So it was a good turnout, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great to see.
Yeah. So between the podcast, weekly or fortnightly newsletters going out, created by Josh, and also these once every 3 weeks webinars, I think our message and our videos, communications have definitely helped investors become more astute at understanding what SDA is all about, particularly in the property market around Australia, and hearing firsthand the processes and the challenges or the benefits as per the perspectives of these builders and developers, right, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's made builders much more accessible. I think they understand the process a lot better now and what goes into creating an NDIS property. Also, I think the providers as well being there. I think so many investors ask about who the providers are, what the providers do. And I think just having them there explains so much about that side of the investment that probably people are a bit confused on, probably going into it.
So we have 3 or 4 webinars coming up between now and the end of the year, right, Josh?
Yeah, we've got a couple coming up.
What are they?
So we've got the next one's in Southeast Queensland. So it's on, Southeast Queensland, everything to do with NDIS there. The next one is on a unit block that we've been working on in North Coogee in Western Australia. Then we've got one on Perth house and land packages. And then the final one is on Sydney.
Yeah. So let's go to the first one coming up is what date and what time, Josh? The next one?
So that would be Monday the 16th of October, and I believe it's 12:30.
Yep. That will be Debbie as the research analyst, Daryl Hopkins, the builder from Torsion Homes, and then also David Whitelaw from Adapt Housing, the provider which we've worked with the last 2 years now. And we're going to focus on talking about quality locations, quality designs, what a provider looks in terms of designs, and what's appropriate for participants as well. Given how much activity has gone on in the past 3 to 5 years in South East Queensland, I think it's good to hear from our perspective the pockets of locations that are ideal for investment in SDA around Southeast Queensland. And that's a good session for our listeners to hear firsthand a good builder, a good provider, hear their perspectives as to what makes a good SDA investment there. Josh, the next one after that is what date and time?
Monday, the 23rd of October, and I believe that'll also be 12:30.
And what topic is it? Sorry?
So that's on North Coogee.
Yeah, North Coogee. So we have the project manager from the developer and also the SDA and SIL provider, Mr. Howard Emery from Adelphi Living, and Mr. Michael Kwan from Northcott, the brand subsidiary of Saracen Properties in Western Australia, talking about the project in North Coogee, which is now DA approved.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Only happened a month ago. Finally got DA approval. So now we just want to tidy up the remaining apartments that are left for sale so we can start construction on it by January start. Okay, so it'll be completion by end of next year, end of 24. So great location, only 200 metres, 100 metres from the water, now from the harbour side where yachts are moored.
Yeah.
And that's a very good location there. It's just one of those specific projects that we want to get to speakers on the podcast to present about on the webinar. And the next one after that, Josh, the next webinar, third one?
Yep, so that's Tuesday, the 14th of November. I believe, again, 12:30. That seems to be the time that we run them.
Yeah.
That'll be on the Perth house and land packages with Nirvana Lifestyles.
Now, Nirvana is a sub-brand of Sedana Constructions. So we've worked with Sedana Constructions with Dr. Angad Singh. We've talked to 5 times in the podcast series here now. And they have launched their new development arm called Nirvana Lifestyles, which basically represents managers, about 7 or 8 or 9 different small builders around Perth who are actively contributing towards the SDA construction work around Perth. So I think that what we've come up with them in terms of designs, the adaptability from the basic designs with upgrades, the various different builders and trades they have on board with how they operate with investors, and the de-risked process and efficiencies is really going to give investors a lot of comfort. And Angad Singh, who is an owner of Sedana and also Nirvana, will be explaining how the process has been going on with them and our buyers in terms of normal house and land investment with their trades and build teams, but also with the SMSF side as well. We have a lot of clients very keen on SMSF, and we're working very closely with Angad on the processes in terms of getting the pre-approvals for SMSFs, the construction setup and the acquisition of land, customized packages for investors, because every investor, Josh, is different. They all want maybe an IL only or an IL with sprinklers or a HPS with sprinklers and whatnot. So this is very much a customized approach, which we don't get with anyone else, Josh, which is really good. And it'll be good for, don't you reckon it'll be good for our listeners and viewers to watch that process unfold on the webinar, Josh?
Yeah, I think so. I think land in Perth at the moment is a very hot commodity, and I think that the process that Angad is going through in setting up, as you said, there's a lot less risk that's involved, but also he really gets you prepared for the investment, so that when something becomes available that fits what you want, whether that be an IL, an HPS, you want fire sprinklers, when something becomes available that you want, we can get you moving on it really quickly. And I think if you're interested at all in Perth SDA, I think you really should attend this event and just get to know Angad.
And our last webinar before the end of the year, Josh, what is that?
So I believe that'll be on the 20th of November, and Sydney house and land packages, I'd imagine.
Well, yes and no. Grace and I went down to Sydney a few days ago. We met up with a very experienced certified designer and fire specialist, and there's a lot of opportunity to get investors involved in the Sydney market with substantial amount of SDA stock that we can create customized for our investors in the Sydney market. And when I say customized, I mean knockdown rebuilds or renovation retrofitting or subdivision kind of split a box by a block split in half and sell one block and then build another one for SDA, or subdivision of land to be one large land to be into 4 or 5 parcels of blocks of land as well, or little villa projects, or salt and pepper apartment stock in a large complex of apartments. So there's going to be a lot of Sydney-based SDA product we're going to create in the coming few months. And we wanted to talk about that process in November, obviously, as to how we're going to roll it out in the coming end of year or new year, as to what that looks like, the process, the price range, the returns. Because a lot of investors, Josh, have been asking us for a long time, what do you got in Sydney? What do you got in Sydney?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for a long time, the answer was not a whole lot, maybe some units here and there, but yeah, house and land and everything in between, not a whole lot.
Yep. So we've never had the opportunity to go into Sydney. Now it's going to be a big push into Sydney now. I think what we now realise is, it's people prefer, let's be honest, people prefer to invest in their own backyard. And a lot of investors are from Sydney, and they would rather invest in Sydney if they could. Now, up until now, is the barrier to entry was because of the land price, Josh. To buy an old house and knock it down is $1.4 million. Spend another $900,000 to build a new house. That's a $2 million project right there. $2.2 million there. Because the location factor is high, the demand is also high around Sydney. Lack of construction is also an issue in terms of lack of product for participants as well, Josh. I think there's an opportunity here for people to really explore the Sydney market. And as of now, Debbie from our office, and as well as Lenore, they're looking into the SDA data as the not preferred, but highest demand as per supply and demand, ideal locations to get into for Sydney. Josh, is very important. So our DD, due diligence, is actually important now to work with the supplier of builders and blocks of land to determine what is appropriate. Is it an apartment? Is it a villa? Is it a renovation of an old existing house which meets the compliance build standards of the NDIS guidelines, So it's going to be a good topic to talk about this one in Sydney, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when these sort of opportunities sort of present themselves with us, I mean, we want to make sure we do all of our research, as you said, our data research, making sure that we find the places where there's the highest demand. And if we can work with someone on that, then I think it's a really, really great opportunity for everyone involved.
And Josh, do you remember, Josh, we sat down here a long time ago with our people in Melbourne, and we've been talking about Melbourne apartments for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we still have not launched many of the Melbourne apartments we wanted to launch. Now, in saying so, though, we are about to launch them in the coming few weeks, yes?
Yes, looking forward to it.
But it's taken us 9 months, 10?
7, 8, 9 months, yeah.
To get to where we are now. So if that's the track record for us for Melbourne to get stuff ready, geez, Sydney's going to be a lot more harder. Land, the builders, the supply and demand, the research, the providers, the assessors, the architects, the trades, the demolition of the old house, council approvals to renovate, retrofit. That's a lot of work for even one project, one house, let alone 20, 30 other ones. So we'll be working very hard ourselves to do the Sydney release as well as the other ones, obviously. But the point is, we're Australia-wide. We're going to be giving you a lot of information, research, and opportunities to look at stock in your area. Heck, if you want to go to Adelaide, it's fine. If you want to go to Sydney, fine. We don't judge. Josh, we want to give our investors and listeners the options to choose where they want to go.
Exactly, yeah. Having a great range of locations is exactly what we're trying to do. Yeah, trying to get as much access to stock for our investors as possible across, every category across all of Australia is the plan, the goal.
What I've noticed, Josh, is that stock we've used to have in Adelaide and Hobart has flown out the door.
Yeah. No, there's nothing coming our way at all. We've been waiting for a couple of weeks now for it to come.
Months.
Yeah, months, really. It's been 1 or 2 blocks available for a day.
So the demand overall for NDIS property for investors is really high.
Massive, especially in those 2 locations, especially in Perth, really everywhere at the moment. It's just going crazy.
Josh, Perth land is also limited supply as well.
Yeah.
So Dana's telling us then there's no title land until December, so it's 3 months of delay.
Yeah. And that's why that's why you need to sort of set yourself, get to know Angad, because he's the one who can help you in the long run find locations going forward. So overall, all I'm going to say to you is we're here to help and we're here to serve, give you as much information as possible, and let you assess the opportunities you have in front of you, because
I have never seen as much demand for NDIS property as I have now in late 2023. The last 3 years, I mean, since July 1, Josh, when the income spiked up, that's when all the buyers have come back in the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also, Josh, all the traditional house and land buyers, buying in Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane and getting $500 a week in rent on a $900,000 purchase, which is 3% net yield, it doesn't cover the cost of serviceability for loans and mortgage anymore. So the reason why investors are now seeking NDIS is it's a higher return and it services. Whereas looking at normal traditional housing, it just doesn't service anymore. And that's where we're getting a lot of feedback from investors and buyers that they can't make it stack. Even the builders and developers can't make it stack anymore unless they go to NDIS world as well. So the purpose of these webinars is to show you, our listeners, that we have an abundance of speakers lined up. We have an abundance of stock supply coming out of the ground in all locations around Australia. We are cherry picking the good ones. We're not just taking on board everything out there. If you wanna call us a type of consultant, right? We are dealing with the Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, right? Of the NDIS property world. We're not here to sell the cheap cars or cheap houses out there like everyone else is buying, because we do our homework. We know what is good value, right?
Yeah, I think with so many projects coming out now as well, you got to choose we've got to make sure that we pick the ones that are going to be successful and they're actually decent investments in good locations. The right design category for each location. I think now with so much going on in the industry, you really have to make sure you pick the right projects.
Yeah. We all remember Sizzler's, right? Sizzler, buffet restaurant. You walk in there and they say, where do you want to go? Go. Where do you want to go first? And I always say, I'm going to go to the dessert bar, right? Go buy ice cream. So in this case as well, we are a buffet restaurant full of NDIS stock in Australia. You choose what you want. We're here to guide. We're not going to force you to do anything at all. If you're not comfortable, don't do it. But we're here to. You'll never hear us pushing hard to buy something. We're not like that. We're very open, transparent. We're here to help. We're here to serve. We're here to educate. If you want to do NDIS, then great. If you don't, no big deal. You'll never hear me or Josh or Matt or Debbie trying to force someone to buy a property when they shouldn't. We say no more often than we say yes, don't we, Josh?
Yeah, if someone's not financially prepared or they're not prepared for the investment, we'll say no.
And then if also someone is on the fence, umming and ahhing, we're not going to push them. We'll leave them alone.
No, I think I was having a conversation with some clients a couple of Fridays ago, and I just said, look, you got to take your time here and make sure that you're actually interested in this and you want to go forward. And I think they appreciated that.
Yeah, good. Well, Josh, I think this whole webinar formula is really working for our business because we have so many inquiries coming in every day. And the only way is to utilize these platforms like the podcast platform, the webinar platform, and the video platforms, and which we'll put onto our YouTube and Vimeo account for our people to listen to and watch again. So we know that not everyone can watch and listen to everything, but they can definitely take their time. We're not going to worry about when and if you buy something from us. We're here to help, and we're doing a lot of things around Australia. So any words of advice, Josh, before we hang up with regards to the webinar series and everything else?
If you're interested in the webinars, keep your eyes on your emails because we'll be sending out emails over the coming weeks with links to sign up and even links to old webinars that have just happened and that sort of thing. So yeah, keep your eyes out.
And if you've missed the last few, we'll have them on video on YouTube and Vimeo to watch as well. Yeah. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you soon. If you have any questions, please give us a call on 1300 254 397 or email us on info@ndis.property. And we'll continue to update all these events on our website, www.ndis.property. Thank you so much. Josh, thank you very much as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.